Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So last class I think we were discussing about for loops. Okay, so today's class is important. I am going to teach you two concepts in today's class if time permits. One is I am going to teach you how to receive input from the user. Okay, and the second concept is we are going to start with the concept of functions, which are very important in Python. So the first concept is how to receive input from users, and the second concept is the concept of functions. Now you have to be very clear with this functions concept, because this concept is going to be a lifesaver for you when we actually start with object oriented programming. Okay, so concentrate in this particular class. So first we shall see how to receive input from the users. So what exactly you mean by receiving input from the users? So let's take one example. I will write a small Python program which you have already written this before. I will say a is equal to 10, b is equal to 20, then I will say print a plus b. So we know what this program does. So what this program does, it will basically print the value of 10 and 20. So one important disadvantage of this particular program is every time the value will be 10 and 20 only. It is not allowing you to change the values interactively. Suppose if I want to make this add two numbers 100 and 200, I have to go to the program, change a to 100 and b to 200, and then I have to run the program. So then only I am going to get the output as 300. So this is not the correct way of doing things in any programming. So what we should do in programming is we should do an interactive addition or interactive processing. What is an interactive processing? You have already used this. For example, logging to your email account. So you have to supply the username and password and hit on the sign in button. See, that is called as interactive processing. So you can do interactive processing in Python also. So let's see how to do that. In order to do that, you have to make use of one function called input. There is a function called input. So this is a function which basically helps you to perform interactive processing in Python. See, then a name itself says input, means you are prompting the user to input some value. Okay, then how do we make use of this particular input function? Okay, let's take one simple example. I will say a is equal to input. I am opening the input function and I am giving a prompt here. What is the meaning of prompt? Prompt is nothing but the message which is being displayed, just like the print. So a print function also will have something enclosed within the double quotes. Similarly, an input function will also have a double quotes, which is actually used for prompting the user. So I can say enter the value of a. Enter the value of a. That's all. Now what I will do, I am going to print this value of a. So now here, when you observe this particular program, I am not assigning any value to a here. No value of a has been assigned inside the program, but rather I am trying to accept the value of a from the user. Then I am actually printing the value of the a which has been accepted. So you just see what happens when I run this program now. So when I run this program, you can see that in the console it is telling me enter the value of a, and I can place my cursor after a. It is waiting for an input. So let's say that I am going to input the value as 90. So when I input the value of 90, it says the value of a is 90. I think somebody joined. Hi Akshay, good afternoon.
Hi Balu, good afternoon. Sorry, I had some issues with the laptop.
No problem, no problem. I am just I think you have missed the initial few minutes of the session. I have recorded it. I am recording this session. Okay.
Okay.
So So what I was trying to tell you here is, input is a function which is used to accept the value from the user. So now I can input another value. For example, I can say b is equal to input. I can say enter the value of b, and I'll say print b. Okay, now let me run this program now. Now you can see that I think I ran a different program. Okay. Now you can see that it is asking me to enter the value of a. I'll enter the value of a is 100. Now it's asking for enter the value of b. I'll enter the value of b as 200. Now it will display the value of b as 200. So that means what you are trying to do here is, you are accepting the value from the user and you are assigning that value to that particular variable. But wait, one thing you have to be very clear here. Let's see what kind of value has been assigned. No doubt you have given 100 and it is displaying it as 100, but you don't know whether that 100 which has been accumulated inside A is an integer value or not. So let's find out what kind of value it has accumulated. You know, to find out the type of the value, we will use one function called type. So I'll say type of A. So we have seen this before, and I'm going to use type of B. So what is the type of A or type of B? Type of A will tell me what is the data type of A, and type of B will tell me the data type of B. Now when I run this, you see what happens. It's asking for the value of A. I'll enter the value of A, but you can see there it is telling me that 100 is of the type string. This is extremely important to you. And if I enter the value of B, and it is also telling me that this 90 is also of the type string. So what is a string? String is a nothing but characters, but you have actually fed 100, but it is taken as string. So now you cannot add two numbers. See, because if you want to add, if you want to do any arithmetical calculation on numbers, it has to be of the number format. It has to be of the integer format. It cannot be of the string format. Okay, let us say that even though you ignore that and you try to add, we'll see what happens. I will say C is equal to A plus B. I'll say C is equal to A plus B. And if I say print C, you observe the output. You see what happens now. I'll run this. So it's asking for the value of A, 10. It's asking for the value of B, 20. Now it is actually displaying 10 and 20. It is not displaying 30. See what it is trying to do. It is trying to concatenate 10 and 20. What is the meaning of concatenation? It is trying to append the value of 10 with 20. So addition of string is nothing but concatenation. So concatenation is not what we wanted. We actually wanted to add 10 plus 20 and we have to get the result as 30. So how do we solve this problem? In order to solve this problem, what we have to basically do is, this A which has been taken as string has to be converted into integer, which is very important. So the string value has to be converted into integer value, which is for the A, and for B also the string value has to be converted into the integer value. So how do we do that? So what we will do here is, I will just remove these lines for you. So these lines I will remove, so that it will be easy for you to understand. So once I have got the value of A, so what I will do, I will say A is equal to int of A. A is equal to int of A. So what does it mean? This A which has been accumulated, I am passing it to a function called integer function. So that integer function will convert that string value of A into integer value of A. So now we'll see whether it has converted or not. I'll say print type of A. We will see what happens. Similarly, enter the value of B. I will say B is equal to int of B. That means I am converting that particular string value into integer value. So we can always print it and see whether it has converted or not. So I will just use my print function along with the type function. So then I am going to print c is equal to a plus b, and then I am going to print the value of c. So let's run this now. So I have a value of a as 10. Now you can see that it has been converted into integer. You can see that it shows that it is class int, which means the string data type has been converted into integer data type. Now I'll give 20. So here also the string data type has been converted into integer data type. Now it is successfully adding a plus b, and it is giving me the value called 30. So this concept where you are converting a data type from one type to another type. So here what are you trying to do in the whole program? You basically tried to convert string to int. So this concept in Python is called as typecasting. We call it as typecasting. So what is typecasting? Typecasting is a process which basically helps you to convert from one data type to another data type. So always remember, whenever we use an input function and try to get the user from that, try to get the input from the user, that input function will always get the value as a string. So if you have to do any arithmetical calculation, you cannot do it on a string. So you have to invariably convert that string data type into an integer data type. To do that, you make use of an function called an int function. So is this concept clear? You understood?
Yes, Balu, I have a question.
Huh.
The third statement or the line that you wrote, which is a is equal to int of a,
Huh.
can we not avoid that step?
You can.
Okay.
Wha-
Can we include that in the first step? Or
Yes, you can. So what you can do, you can say a is equal to int of enter input of a. That's it. So I just wanted to first keep it very simple. That's all.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
Very
So
interesting. Okay.
Balu, one question here.
huh.
So I see that you're actually defining the values in the output section. So do we actually do that? Because here we got the values when we wrote print type of a, right?
Huh.
So, but we did not define any values for a or b when we were actually writing the code, right?
That is what. See, I am accepting the value of a and b from the user. If you can see in the console, I am accepting the value of a and b. So you don't have to write it here. So whatever you type, it will be dynamically assigned to that particular variable.
Okay, so basically you're defining the values in the console.
Yes, you are defining the values to the inside the console, and the value you give inside the console will be attached to the variable you have given in the program.
Okay.
Concept clear?
Yes.
Anvesh?
Yes, Balu.
Okay, will you try? I think probably you can try some programs on this. Let's say that, okay, you try a program where you find the sum and average of 4 numbers. Accept the marks of a student of 4 subjects. Okay, find the total and average. So let's say that you should say output should be like this: enter physics marks. You enter the physics marks. Then enter chemistry marks. You enter the chemistry marks. Like that, maths and biology marks. The moment you enter the biology marks, it should display total is equal to so much and average is equal to so much. So try this. Nidhi, I am in training. Tell me.
Yeah, yeah. Sir, I'm on the line actually.
Ha.
He want to talk to you. Shall I connect?
Yes, yes, yes.
No, sir. I send him.
Hi, Anup. Very good morning. How are you? Good, good. Tell me. Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah. Uh-huh. Hmm. So that's because I was because you had given me the link of that activation video, which was clearly showing around 5 to 6 minutes. Huh. 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 Uh-huh. Okay. Mm-hmm. So what will you cover in 1 minute actually? Okay, let me try, but today it may not be possible actually because today I'm in a training. Because I have a training since from morning actually, but only by tomorrow or something I can work out and give you. Because again, do you want that in Doodly or it is on the webcam recording? Okay, okay. Okay. Uh-huh.
Done, Balu.
Okay, okay. Oh, okay. Huh. Okay. Actually, I have sent one email to Nidhi with respect to the session-wise breakup, like what video, how many videos, and what is the total number of minutes. Everything I have sent her over an email today. I have already sent it to her actually. Nidhi, just forward it to Anup.
Yeah, yeah. Just contact your morning.
I,
You said morning,
yeah,
right?
morning. Today morning, I have sent in a tabular format.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I've contacted you.
So can we do one thing, Anup? Actually, I am in mid of a session. Is it okay if we can connect once again by 1:30 or something like that during my break time? Huh? I don't have your number. I think Nidhi has to connect us at 1:30.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
because actually I'm in the mid of a training session. I muted the mic and I'm talking to you people now. Okay, okay, right, right. Huh. Bye, bye. Okay, sorry for that. Tell me, Akshay, you have finished?
Yes, Balu, I tried it. I got the integer one. I'll just share my screen.
Please, please, please.
So I just I took 4 subjects: maths, physics, biology, and chemistry, and I gave the values as 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then I did a sum of it, and then when I did a print sum, it showed as it's an integer.
Okay, see, what you have to do, Akshay, here is you have to basically accept the input from the user. That is the whole scope of this program.
Okay.
But here you have assigned the value directly inside the program. You are given a is equal to 1, a is equal to 1, p is equal to 2, like this you are given, no?
Yes.
Now this should be 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever you are giving here should be accepted interactively from the user.
So I have to define 1, 2, 3, 4 in the console part.
Exactly, I will help you on how to do that. You modify right away.
Okay.
You remove that 1 there in the first second line.
Yeah.
You say int int
Okay.
a is equal to a is equal to
In A is
no a is equal to, you remove that int, a is equal to
Yeah.
equals to
Yeah.
int int
INT and
open the brackets,
okay.
again input, one more function input, again open the brackets,
Yeah.
now open the quotes, double quotes,
Okay.
enter the value of a.
Okay.
Now do the same thing for b, p, b and c.
Okay. Okay. Fine.
I'm watching that. Do the same thing.
Yeah.
Just copy and paste it. Then change the values, that's all.
Okay.
Good. That instead of a, make it b.
Yeah. I don't know what
you came to a different window.
1 second.
Slowly, no worries. Don't select it. If you select it, you will lose the this thing. Just put your cursor on a,
Yeah.
make it b, that's all. That's all. And now again you remove that 2 from the next line in the line number 4.
Yeah.
Okay, paste it. Now instead of p, make some other variable there.
Yeah.
There also you make some other variable on the left hand side.
Okay.
So you made it a, b. I can't see from here. What are the 3 variables you have given?
So I basically gave 4 of them. That is A is equal to 1, P2, P3, and C4.
that
So we
You need to accept one more input. You need to have one more input. Enter,
yeah.
paste.
Yeah.
You make it a. Okay, you make that as A, B, C, D.
Okay.
There also you change. No duplications. No. Are there any duplications there on the left hand side? A, P, B, C. Good. Now you remove all this A, P, B, C. Is equal to 1, is equal to 2. You remove.
Oh.
Good. You are almost done. Now sum is equal to, you see that it is given properly, A plus P plus B plus C.
Yes. Yeah, it's given.
Good. Now the type of sum you need not print. Remove that.
This one?
Yes, remove that.
Okay.
Now run the program. So it's asking enter the value of A. Press your pointer, use a space bar, give a space bar, and now enter the value of A.
I'll just put 10.
Very good. Enter. Now space bar, enter the value of P. Good. Space bar, enter the value of C. Space bar. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Enter. Now it is showing as 100.
Yes, correct.
So this is how you interactively give the values for variables in the program.
Okay. So if I want to know the type, I do the print type sum, right?
Exactly. Try that. Try. Try that out. Print type of sum.
Type. It says enter the value again.
Yeah, because you are running the program from the beginning, no?
Okay. So I'll just put.
So
It says it's an integer.
correct, because all the values you gave, they're all actually they were strings, but now they have been converted to integers.
Okay.
So that's how it is.
So if it should be a string, I just so if it's alphabets, it gives you string, right?
Exactly. If you just use input, okay, you try one more thing, Akshay. In that entire program, remove that int. Everywhere you remove int, you see what happens.
Here.
Everywhere you remove int. Even that bracket also you should remove. First bracket and the last bracket. Yes, do the same thing for. You have to remove the first bracket also, otherwise it will give syntax error. Yes, good. Fine. Yes, nice. And even here. Okay, you're done. Run the program now. Okay, now give the value of A, B, C, D. Enter. What value you are getting?
Yeah, it says string.
And you see the output, it says 10, 20, 10, 30, 20, 40, correct?
Yes.
So it is combining the values, it is not adding the values.
Okay.
Why it is combining? Because all the variables have taken as string. See, you have one string as computer. A is equal to computer.
Yeah.
B is equal to institute. If I say A plus B, the output will be computer institute.
Correct.
So addition of string means concatenation, combining. But we don't want concatenation for numbers. We want addition of numbers.
Okay.
So if you want addition of numbers, we have to convert string into integer.
Right.
That is the reason we used int along with input function.
Okay.
Is that clear concept?
Yes, Baba.
Okay, fine. Venkat and Anvesh, you both of you got it?
Yeah, yes.
So shall we go to the, I think now it's pretty clear. You can solve any number of programs on input. Now directly we'll see how to define functions in Python.
Yeah, but just one question before we proceed further. So just like how we used int function now, so can we also use a string function if in case we see a requirement for that? Let's say we need all the values in a row instead of addition. Can do I just have to remove the int, or is there any specific function that we need to use?
You have to just remove the int. See, by default input will take it as string only.
Okay.
But instead of int you can use float also.
Okay.
See, for example, like I'll give you an example. Let's say that you're accepting the rate of interest. So you have to say float of input rate of interest. So then if you say 12.5, that 0.5 will be considered. Float or double. You didn't understand? No. Okay. See here.
So not sharing.
I'll share the screen. So what I was trying to tell you here, I'll just delete this. So instead of int, I can use float. Okay, now when I run this, I am giving the value of a. Now I can say 12.5, and it is going to give me the class as float. Now I'll print a. So I'll give 12.5 as an input. So it gives me 12.5 as an output. Suppose now if you give this typecasting as integer, okay, and while entering you give a floating value. I say 12.5, it's a floating value now. See, it gives an error. What error it says? Invalid literal for int. That means you are accepting the value of integer, but you are giving the value as float. So it will not accept it. Understanding?
Yeah, nice.
So you have to convert this into float. So if you are giving a decimal, if you are inputting a decimal number, you have to make use of float. If you are inputting an integer number, you have to make use of int. Both of these are applicable for input functions. Okay. So
Balu, one more question. I know where this is going to. I think the same concept can be used by using input if and range to create a specific, accept a specific string. Let's say for a username where there is a uppercase, lowercase, and then a special character.
yeah.
So with the concepts that you have taught us, can we use that and then create a specific, the user to provide only specific input?
Yes. You are talking about validation, correct?
Yeah.
Yes. For that there are specific string functions.
Okay.
So we have something called as 2 upper, 2 lower. Okay, we can do that. It is 100% correct. What you can do is you can make use of the string function, and inside the string function you can make use of the input function.
Okay.
So if the user is typing in lowercase, it automatically converts into uppercase.
Okay, how about restricting, like saying that user has to enter so and so value only? That can we do that? as well?
That also you can do. That can be done using a concept called regular expressions.
Okay.
For example, let's say that you want to ensure that the user enters value only, you are accepting the telephone number of a person, okay. So the first thing is you should ensure that it should be 10-digit long. So you can do that using a concept called regular expressions in Python.
Okay, great. Okay.
These are all called as validations.
Okay.
Okay, input validations we say. So shall we go on to functions, how to define a function now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So Akshay, is this input concept very clear to you, how to accept the input from the user?
Yes, Balu, yes.
See, now in this case you are accepting the input in the console, but in real life application we are going to design a GUI screen, correct? So what is a GUI screen? You know what a GUI screen is. Let me share that. I'll share my Jamboard. Wait. So you want to just let me know once you can see my screen. All of you can see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So you want to create a form like this. So in this form, you are going to have 2 text boxes like this. This is one text box. This is another text box. Then probably you may have 2 buttons. One is your OK button, and second one is your cancel button. Then this text box will enter your name, and this text box will enter your password. So this is my OK button, this is my cancel button. So this type of interactive screens also you can develop using Python. But for this, you have to basically make use of one library called as Tkinter. You have to make use of one library called as a Tkinter library. Okay, this is how.
So Balu, like you said, in in the Jamboard you displayed a image, right? So when we actually input, will this the output will come in form of image, or is it text format again?
Text format. See, let's say that you are going to give value here. You're going to give 10 here, okay?
Okay.
And you are going to give 20 here.
Okay.
So I can have one more text box here, a small text box which can display me the output. So when I input 10, when I input 20 and click on OK button, when I click on this OK button, here it will display me the value called 30. So this is Windows programming actually. What you did now, input is a console program. Console program means you are seeing the output on the console, text based.
Yes.
Correct, no? This is totally GUI based, graphical user interface. And if you want to do this, you have to make use of one library called as Tkinter. That's a library which helps you to develop graphical user interfaces in Python.
Can we actually access it now? Like
No. For that you need to understand what are libraries first and how to import them. Okay, I will tell you how to import. See, Python has got thousands of libraries inside it. Okay, and one such library is called as Tkinter. Okay, so I will show you how to import a library in Python. That is actually there in the scope of your training. Then what you can do, using that concept, you can import any library in Python, and you have to explore what and all functionalities are there in that particular library, and you can make use of that particular functionality.
Sure.
Okay, so that's how it goes. So,
And Balu, so that import, can we do it directly in the Python, or do we have to do in the Python console?
what you have to do is you have to install that library using a command called pip install. Okay, either you can install in PyCharm. Using interactive install you can do. You have to go to the settings and install it, or you have to go to the command prompt and say Python installation package. We say pip Python installation package and give the name of the library. It has to, because when you download Python, all the libraries won't be downloaded. Only few libraries will be downloaded. So in this case you have to import the library from the Python community. So from the Python community it gets imported as a zip file, and it gets extracted, and it will be stored in the environment folder. Then you can start using it. I'll show you how to do that pip install, okay, when the time comes. And just why I told you this, because since you learnt console today, know that console is not only the option of giving an user input, you can also give user input through graphical user interface. That is what I was trying to tell you. Clear?
Clear. And how about the URL? Do you have to import a library for that?
No. URL need not be imported through a library. You can import it using a fetch command. Okay, that comes in web scraping.
Sure.
Okay, so okay, now what is the concept of this functions is something which we have to understand now. So this is first I'll explain you conceptually why do you require a function. We require function because of modularity or modular programming. Very important. So you have to understand this concept of modular programming. See, what is modular programming? Modular programming means dividing the program into modules, that's all. And what is a module? A module is nothing but a small subsystem of a big system. So let's take one simple example. I have given you this example before. Let's say that you have a television. I'm sorry for the disturbance. There's a television. This television is a system on its own. Okay. Now this television will basically receive an input and it will generate me an output. Okay. Now if this input has to be converted into output, this television is made up of small subsystems inside it, like this. Okay. So like for example, you may have one subsystem for audio, one subsystem for video, okay, one subsystem for color, and one subsystem for channel. Now each and every subsystem is receiving some input and it is giving me some output. For example, audio subsystem is actually responsible only for the audio functionality, nothing else. It is not responsible for any video functionality. The video subsystem is responsible only for the video functionality. Channel subsystem is only responsible for channel. Color subsystem is only responsible for color. So what are you trying to do here is, you are trying to create subsystems which has got a vested responsibility. It has got its own scope. It has got its own responsibility. It will not do anything beyond that. Actually, this is a concept of software engineering. We call this concept as cohesion. Cohesion basically means make the subsystem only to do what it is supposed to do. Don't overload it. And what is the important advantage of doing this? Tomorrow if your audio is not working properly, a technician will only come and check this. He is not going to break his head on video, channel and color, because he knows that audio is not coming, so he has to work only on the audio subsystem. But at the given point of time, all these subsystems should be interconnected with each other. They have to be integrated with each other. So what is the meaning of integration? They have to be all connected with each other so that the whole TV works properly. That is very important. So now when you look at the broader perspective, a television is a system. That system consists of many subsystems. All the subsystems inside the television must work in a harmony to ensure that the final system works properly. So this is the concept of modular programming. So in order to achieve modularity in Python, what we basically do is we are going to make use of a concept called function. Function. So what is a function? Function is nothing but a module, and you can have multiple modules within a particular program. Okay, so or you can say function is nothing but a small subsystem, and you can have multiple subsystems within a program. So this is the basic introduction on why do you actually require functions in Python. Now if you are clear with this concept on functions, then only we can actually go ahead and see what is object oriented programming and how does it work and all those things. So at this point of time, first let us concentrate on this word function and how to make use of functions in Python. So is this introduction clear and concise so that I can go ahead and write one small program and functions for you? Is it okay?
Yes.
Okay. So now you have already seen functions so far in Python. You have used it. What are the functions you have already used? I'll give you an example. You have used a print function, correct? Any function will have a name of the function, a open bracket and a close bracket. So you have used a print function. So what is the function of a print function? The function of a print function is used to print. Was the print function used to accept anything from the user? No. To accept the details from the user, you had an input function. So input function functionality was to accept the data. Print function's functionality was to print the data. Int function, you have already used int function also. Just now you saw int function. So what is the functionality of a int function? To convert, I'm sorry for that typo there, the int function functionality is to convert the string data type into integer data type. And float function functionality, it was the function to convert the string data type into float data type. So now so far in this training session you have already experienced a print function, an input function, a string function and a float function. So all these have definite set of responsibilities. Now all these functions you didn't define, they were all defined by Python. Python has already defined it, you have used it. But sometimes in programming there would be a requirement where you yourself have to define your own function. You have to give the name of a function and you should make that function do some task, and you have to keep on using that function multiple number of times. So there you have to actually use the concept of functions in Python. So now I'll show you how to create a simple function in Python. So we'll start a new program, creating a simple function in Python. Okay. The first and the foremost thing, if you want to create a simple function in Python, you have to make use of this keyword, and that keyword is called as define, DEF. DEF stands for define, and every function will have a name. See, you saw print function had a name. What was the name of the print function? It is print only. Int function had a name. What was the name of the int function? It was int only. So now you are creating your own function. Let us call your own function as display. I'll call one function called display, open bracket, close bracket, and I'm going to give a colon. So this is my function. Now what this function should do, I have to write within the body of that particular function. See, we know the concept of indentation. We have seen indenting in for loop, while loop, and also if condition before. So once you define the header, that is define display, display is the name of the function. So what that function should do, it should display something. So I will say, I am going to put a print statement here. So what I am going to do in the print statement, I am going to say print, this is my first function. This is my first function. That's all. So my function is defined now. So what have you basically done? If you really look into the share aspect, you have actually created one small subsystem. Okay, a small subsystem. What this subsystem is doing, this subsystem is called as a display. What this display subsystem is doing, it is printing me some output. So what is the output it is printing? It is printing the output as this is my first function. Now you suppose if I run this particular program, you will not get any output. See, you are not getting any output. The reason is you have just defined the function, but just by defining the function doesn't work. You have to call the function. Very important. So if you want to make the function work, first you have to define the function, then you have to call the function. Calling the function means executing the function. So how do I call the function? So in order to call the function, I just give the name of the function. I'll say display. I'll just give the name of the function. I'll say display. So this portion is actually calling the function. This is calling the function, and this portion is actually defining the function. This is actually defining the function. Okay. Now when you run this particular program, now you can see that it is telling me this is my first function. Okay. So now what have you done? This is my function definition. This function has a name, this function has a body, and this is the call to a function. Now once I have defined the function, I can call it any number of times. Okay. So what I can do, I can just call it any number of times. So I am just going to call this 3 or 4 times now. So what is that I am trying to do? I am calling this function multiple number of times. So this is my first function, like this, it goes on. So this is one important advantage of using a function. You have to only write the code once, and you can call the code multiple number of times. So this is called as modular programming in Python. So let's define one more function. So there's one function called display. I'll create one more function called show. This is one more function called show. So in this show function, I am going to say print. I'll say this is an output from show function. This is an output from the show function. Now here what I'll do is I'll call the show function first, and then I'll call the display function next. So now you see the output. So it is first giving an output from the show function, and then it is giving me the output of the display function. So irrespective of the fact how you are defining the function, it doesn't matter. See, while defining or displaying you are defining the display function first and then the show function. But when you are calling, you are actually calling the show function first and then the display function. So in this, you have to understand that the precedence of calling the function depends upon how you are calling it. It doesn't depend upon how you have defined it. So you can call the function any number of times, or you can even interlace it. After this display function, I can have a show function. Okay, and after this display function, I can have a show function. So I can interlace it. So when I interlace it also, it works. So you can see that it is interlaced. It says this is my first function, then this is an output from the show function. So this is the concept of using functions in Python. Understood? Any doubts here?
Balu, can we call a function within a function?
You can.
Okay.
That is called nested function.
Okay.
You can certainly call function within a function. Okay, so with this concept, can you just write a small program? Like, okay, I'll give you the scope of the program. So write a program to create 3 functions. One function, the first function will display your name, the second function will display your address, and the third function will display your phone number. Will you try this?
Done, Balu.
Oh, good. Share your, one second. Share your screen.
Yeah.
1 second. Great, that's it. So you can see now you are first printing name. I lost your screen.
Sorry, yeah.
First you are printing name, then your address, and then your number. So you can
Yes.
change the precedences now. You can just put name at the last and put number in the beginning. Try that.
Okay. Name at the last, you said, right?
No, whatever you feel. Just I want you to change the order. That's it.
Okay.
Change the order of calling. Now run the program. So it's changing, right?
Okay, yeah, it changed. Yes.
See now suppose if I want you to write a program to display your name, address without using functions, how will you do? You'll simply print your name, you'll print your address and you'll print your number, correct?
Yes, yes.
So every time when I run, it will print the same name, number, address. You cannot change the precedences there.
Correct, correct.
So that is one main advantage of actually using functions.
Okay. So in this scenario, Balu, if for example, let's say I want to print multiple addresses one after the other. So I write multiple statements, is it?
Multiple, you want different address or you want same address to be displayed number of times? What do you want to do?
So I want to print two different addresses, like with different names and different address and different phone number.
Then you do one thing, in that name function only you print two different names
Okay, so I write print my name is Akshay.
and one more name. No, use one more print statement inside that name function.
Okay, so basically I just write this twice.
Write that twice and change the name.
Okay,
That's it. Change the name.
I just put digit here.
Yes, and address also you just copy it and paste it.
Say,
Now run that.
number also the same, right?
Number also you can add one more number you can add.
Now if I run this. Okay.
So you're getting different names.
Yes. Got it.
So Anvesh, you understood the concept of functions?
Yes, Bhavin.
Okay, so now do you want me to continue or you want me to stop? How do you want me to do now? Shall I continue till 1:30?
Yes, sir.
No. See, I don't mind, but you tell me if you are tired, then no issues. I'll stop here because now I'm going to teach you how to use parameters and arguments. Shall I? Or don't be hesitant. If you want me to do it in the next class, I'll take up in the next class. No worries at all. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you should understand. That is the goal. Venkatesh, what shall we do?
I want everyone to be
Unanimity.
If anyone says we'll do it tomorrow, we'll do it tomorrow.
Unanimity counts.
I'm okay with anything actually.
Okay, then I'll show you a small program for next 5-10 minutes and then we'll wind up. Okay, I'll just give an introduction to this and wind up. Okay, simple program, nothing, no much complications involved. Okay, so what I am going to do now is I am going to write a function to add two numbers. This is what I am going to do now.
Balu, share your screen.
Oh, sorry.
You need to write a function to show its screen.
I think I have to make that Python automation. mind. I always forget. And only Akshay reminds me. Okay, done. So is that screen visible now? Good.
Yes, Father.
Okay. See, now I'm going to write a function to add two numbers. So let me start by defining the function. So def def, one second, my system is going slow, def, so I'll give the function as add. Okay, now I'm just giving two things here. Let's not worry what is this. I'll explain you what is this. I'll say x comma y. I'll say x comma y. Then I'll say c is equal to x plus y, print c. Then when I'm calling the function, I'll say add 10 comma 12. So first let's see if this program is working. Yeah, it's giving me the output as 22. Okay, fine. So let's understand what is this. You know what is a def. Def stands for define. You know what is add. Add is the name of the function. In the earlier example, you didn't give anything here. You just open the bracket and close the bracket. That's it. So here I am giving x comma y. This x comma y are called as parameters. Just remember this word. We call them as parameters. I'll just put a note here. X comma y inside add function are called as parameters. Okay. Now c is equal to x plus y. It's a straightforward arithmetic expression. Print c, you know. Now when I'm calling the function, I'm passing 10 comma 12. This 10 comma 12 is called as arguments. I'll explain you what is this. This 10 comma 12 is called as arguments. So 10 comma 12, 10 comma 12 in add function are called as arguments. Okay, are called as arguments. Now you have to understand what are parameters and what are arguments. So let's see how this program is working first. Now this is the function. Now when I am calling the function, I am calling the function by passing two values. One value is 10, another value is 12. So what happens, this 10 will go and get assigned to x and 12 will go and get assigned to y, which means logically speaking x is equal to 10 and y is equal to 12. Now inside the function I am printing c is equal to x plus y and I am printing the value of c. So what are arguments? Arguments are nothing but the values which are given when you are calling the function. And what are parameters? Parameters are those which will receive values from the arguments. So if you are actually writing an function with parameters, then you must and should call the function with arguments. See, for example, here you have written a function add x comma y, but when I am calling the function, I don't supply any value. I will simply say add, which means I am trying to call an add function, but I am not supplying any value. But the add function says it has got two parameters, x and y. What does it imply? It implies that when you are calling the function, you must supply two values. I am not supplying it. Deliberately I am not supplying it. So when I run this, so it says that it gives me an error. What error it says? Missing two required positional arguments x and y. So it is very clearly telling me that it requires two arguments. Okay. So let's say that I supply one argument and I forget to supply the next. So I'll only supply 12. Okay, even then the program doesn't work because you are trying to actually give the value of x as 12, but still y is not being supplied. So when I run this, so it says missing one required positional argument y. So you have to be extremely clear here. So depending upon how many parameters are defined within the function, those many parameters has to get the values from that many number of arguments when you are calling the function. So I'll say add 12 comma 12. Now this is perfect. Now I can call this function with multiple number of arguments. I'll say add 100 comma 100. Okay. Then I'll say add 1 comma 2. Okay. Then I'll say add 2 comma 4. So like this I can call this add function with multiple number of arguments. So when I run this, you will start getting the output 24, 200, 3 and 6. So what you have done, you have basically created one small subsystem called add, and in that subsystem you are actually trying to add two numbers. So like this I can create another subsystem. For example, I'll say define, I'll create another subsystem called mul. Mul stands for multiplication. So I'll have two parameters for multiplication, p and q. I have to put a colon here, p and q. Then I'll say something like x is equal to p into q. Okay. Now I can call this multiplication function by passing the arguments. I say mul of say 12 comma 12. Then again mul of 100 comma 100. I can give like this. So now when I run this program, so I can see that you are getting I think I ran a RAM program.
Balu, I have one question here.
Okay, go ahead.
You have to print.
I think I didn't print it. You are right. That's what I was wondering why it's not coming. I didn't print it. Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, can't we do this directly like in the previous thing we just wrote add 10 and 12, right? So in the next line can't we just write mul 10 and 12, won't it multiply it like that?
Okay, that is correct. See, logically it is correct, but actually I told you in the when I am telling you functions, I told you should never make function to do two different tasks. See, you can write multiplication operation in add function also perfectly okay, no doubt about it, but that will defeat the concept of modularity. Okay, so when you are having addition as one concept and multiplication as one concept, you write a separate function for addition and a separate function for multiplication. Certainly you can do like this, no doubt about it. You can say d is equal to x into y. Okay, you can do like this, and you can say print c comma d, no issues at all. But what are you trying to do here? You are trying to do multiplication also and addition also in the addition function, which is not correct. Technically, syntactically there is no mistake. Python will do whatever you say, but as per coding standards, there is some standards called coding standards. The coding standard says you have to ensure that there is cohesion in your programming. What is the meaning of cohesion? Make the program into number of functions and ensure that the function only performs a particular task. That is called as cohesion.
Okay.
Got the concept?
Yeah.
So let me remove this now. Let us follow this coding standard. Then I will remove this. Okay, now we'll print it. So now you are getting the output. Okay, so like this you can actually create functions in Python. Okay, practice these programs today. Okay, so when we meet in the next class, we will have one more small section on functions. Okay, then afterwards what we will do is we'll start with we'll see if we can start with object oriented programming.
Cool.
Okay.
It's on Wednesday, right? The next one?
I don't know. Actually, Wednesday, see, it's a local holiday for us. Actually, is it? Yeah, Wednesday only. You're right.
No, I'm just asking if there's any change in the schedule.
No. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday only.
Okay.
Okay, if there's any change, I'll keep you posted tomorrow on. Okay.
And even if you feel like taking extra additional classes, please do it. You're absolutely fine.
Yeah, okay, but I should have time. No issues, no issues. Okay. See, now again, today almost after your class from 2 to 10 p.m. I am occupied.
Whoa.
That's how it goes.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool, Balu.
Okay, so now you are not having holidays on, see 99.9, why 99.9%, 100% there will be no class on Vijayadashmi. Okay?
Yeah, I think it's on Friday, Balu.
Friday, yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that you can take it as an official off. So Wednesday class, certainly it's on. It's on. So I think Friday we will not be having a class. Okay?
Okay, Balu.
Right, then we'll catch up on Wednesday. So what I will do is this CAMTCA recording, I'll render it and I will put it on my YouTube channel, not my official channel, my personal channel. Okay, then you can just download it from there.
Balu, can you let me know the output file? Can you see it now? How much?
I'll do that. I'll just check. For that I need to stop the recording. Just hold on.
Okay.